Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are here for another match of the Champions Cup. Round 3 is well and truly in full effect, and we are on the last day of that third round. This one's a big one. London Irish taking on the Stormers. The way that the table sits currently, both of these sides, they really need this win to push themselves higher up and have a chance at a home round of 16 final. But looking through at the Stormers, they are sitting on 5 points. They've had one win, one loss up against Clermont, I believe it's been their other opposition. And then the London Irish, they are sitting 2 from 2, 2 losses. The Stormers, they were able to beat them last time. Now it's going to be a London Irish home game. They'll be looking to get themselves a win there as well. Looking through now at the way that the two teams sit, I'm quite excited for this game, as you guys can probably tell. It's going to be Will Gooderick-Clark in the front row alongside Valimza, and alongside him it is Chawatama there at number 3, Ratanaya Rawa at number 4. We've seen him a little bit for the Fijian Rua in the past. Now he is there at the London Irish, and the Aussie Simmons going to be there at number 5. Gonzalez at number 6. That is Juan Matan Gonzalez, the Argentine international. Very handy player to have alongside Pearson and Rogerson in that loose forward trio. Ben White, then Jenkins going to be at number 10. Jansi van Rensburg at number 12. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes up against the Stormers outfit. Morisi at 13. Then out on one wing it is Luna. Hazel Collins out on the other. And then Loader slotting in as fullback for the London Irish. Looking through at the starting lineup for the away side, the Stormers, Stephen Kitsoff, Joseph Weber, and Nideline Fouchier. Going to be a very handy front row to have it right here for the Stormers. Evans at 4. Marvin Henry at 5. Got a little bit of experience for the Springboks in the last year's internationals. Dion Forêt at 6. Hokomela gets the start at number 7, and then Diamani at number 8. So still no Evan Ruiz in the front row, in the loose forwards, but it doesn't seem like it's impacting the Stormers that much. They've still been playing extremely well in their last games, and I believe Diamani will be able to have a pretty good game in this fixture as well. Paul de Vet and Mani Lebok will be the 19 combo. Dan du Plessis and Ruan Nel in the midfield, and then Angelo Davids out on the left wing, Hudsonberg out on the right, and Damien Valimza slots in as the number 15. Looking through quickly at the benches, then we are straight into this match as we are only moments away from the kickoff. This game it is going to be played in England, like I mentioned, so the London Irish, they have got themselves that home field advantage. Looking through their bench, Fichietti, handy player there. He will be there at number 17. Also, Joe Powell, the Australian, recently transferring from the Rebels. Will be interesting to see how he gets on in one of his early games in the Gallagher Premiership. For the Stormers, I've got some strong players. Nkura will be an interesting one to see how he matches up with Joe Powell when they both make their way out onto the park. Ben Dixon at 20. Willie Engelbrecht, so they've gone with the 6-2 split, and then also Ngome Zulu at number 23 for the Stormers, closes out their side. But we have got Amelia, Nate, and also Croydon in the chat as well. When is the All Blacks Career Mode Gaming coming back? Geez, that is a question we haven't had in a good year or so. The All Blacks Career Mode on Rugby Challenge 4. The thing is, I actually thought about it a few weeks ago, and I was wondering, is it something that people would want to see again? So if you guys are keen for it, maybe we could bring it back relatively soon. I've got the career mode still loaded up, but I would like to go with a new look side, I think, heading into the Rugby World Cup. Try and have some of those younger players coming through the rankings as well. But I hope you guys are all doing well. Currently sitting 2 a.m. here in New Zealand, so a nice early morning start for us, or a late night finish, depending on how you want to look at it. But currently, London Irish making their way out onto the field. They are wearing the black with the green trim. It's raining, unfortunately, at the ground, so that is something the Stormers will have to get used to pretty quick, seeing as it is a bit of a heat wave at the moment in South Africa for a majority of the country. But Diamani at number 8, it's got that away kit on with the white and the grey for the Stormers, with a little bit of that kind of goldy bronze trim as well for the Stormers. But Kitsoff, he's looking determined. He's looking ready to go. And this is a big game for the Stormers, because if they can win this, like I mentioned, the way that the table sits, we're currently sitting with the Stormers on 5 points. If they win this game with a bonus point, they will actually theoretically shoot up to 4th. They'll be ahead of the Ospreys, and that would be a massive one for them. This is actually the last game of this side in Pool B. On the other side, we've still got a matchup taking place between, will be Racing 92 and the Harlequins just a little bit later on today. About 4:15 a.m. We do get to see the return of a Marcus Smith. And I'm in South Africa right now, so I hope the Stormers win, says Throyden, but it is kicked off long by the London Irish, and we are underway with a nice take from, I believe it would have been Pokomela there. And also, I got to meet the Phantom post-show on Thursday. I gave him some fan art. I was hella nervous, says Amelia, so hopefully he did enjoy the fan art that you gave him. Paul DeVet currently just rolling this ball back here for his side, looking for the box kick. There we go. Scoreboard should be behaving itself now. It's kicked up high, nicely taken by the London Irish fullback here, Loader. The run sideways, gets back up. The missed tackle from Junior Pokomelo, only half held him anyway. Now just outside of their 22, big kick downfield from Rory Jennings, I should say. Almost called him Jenkins. We have got a Jenkins in this game, but I believe it's off the bench. Maybe? No, maybe not. Where's Ben Jenkins at? Is he playing? That's going to be nicely taken inside of the 22 for the Stormers. Kicked way back downfield. Doesn't find touch though. And now this is going to be dangerous because Ben Loader has got space down the wing. Lined up by Dion Fori though. To be able to drag him down nicely just inside of the half now. For the DHL Stormers, they will have to defend hard. We see Joseph Weber. He's a bit of a mixed bag with his lineouts, I'll be honest. He sometimes goes well, sometimes goes very, very badly. Unfortunately, those are the two levels of his game at the moment. He doesn't really have a half performance. And yeah, in South Africa, it's effing hot, says Rikus. What temperature are you guys sitting at the moment, Rikus? Do let me know. Because, I mean, even here, like 20 degrees in New Zealand normally feels pretty toasty. But I can't imagine how hot it is when it gets to maybe like that 35 or so is just a bit too warm for a lot of people's likings. Like, I'm wearing a t-shirt and it's currently 2 a.m. It's going to be the early penalty for offside against the DHL Stormers. London Irish will be kicking this one downfield into touch. I spotted him post-show as I was getting some from the merch stand. I waited for my turn, of course. I shouted a bit when I spoke to him and loved it. He even called me a legend, says Amelia there. And 31 degrees. Yes, see, that's a bit warm. Like, that's a dangerous temperature because as soon as it gets above 30, you're like, all I want to do is go for a swim, and then you just get sunburnt to buggery. So if you do go for a swim at some stage, I assume, yeah, it's still afternoon over there in South Africa. So if you swim or do anything outside, get your sunscreen on. You don't want to end up like me, where I ended up getting, it looks purple on the live stream, but I ended up getting burnt up to about there, and then I got tan there, and then I'm white there. So I got a traffic light on my arm at the moment from getting a bit too much sun. Joseph Weber's got this one only 15 metres out from their own line here by the looks of it, the Stormers. Paul DeVet now rolling it back again. It's going to be 30 degrees today and 37 tomorrow. Oh, 37's hot. And the rain is falling at the moment in this matchup. The question is, would these players rather play in 15 degrees and rain or 37 degrees and absolutely scorching? I feel like a lot of the players would take the rainy day. Yes, you're not going to go as well with the ball in hand because it might slip a little bit, but you'd probably still enjoy a little bit of moisture around rather than having to deal with pretty much drinking that moisture. That's going to be a free kick to the London Irish. Stormers closing that gap a little bit too much, and now another attacking run. I believe it was Jennings just threw himself hard at the line. Now Ben White going off to the right-hand side. Nice work so far from the London Irish to be able to keep that position on their side and not allow the Stormers to get early momentum. Now another big run from Ratunai-Rawa. Nicely done. Or the commentator butchered his name just then, I heard. Unless I say it wrong, but I believe it is the Ratunai-Rawa from when we were commentating the Super Rugby competition. Paul DeVet just outside of the 22. Right back into the pocket. Marnie Lebock now once again kicks it down the middle of the field. 7 degrees here in the northwest of England, says Sebastian. Also, it's even colder than that 15 degrees probably at the ground. It's weird, isn't it? I always say I'd rather it be too cold than too hot, because if it's too cold, you can always put more clothes on. But if it's too hot, you can't take more off to a certain extent. If you take more off when it's too hot, then it looks a bit dodgy. And I'd rather play when it's freezing cold because it's easier to warm up than it is to cool down. Exactly right. And it was like 16 or 36 degrees yesterday, says Throyden, and 34 for Drickus at the moment. Now, line out for the London Irish. It was a good kick downfield from Marnie Lebock just to keep that pressure on a little bit. Mike Willemser now. Line out throw, goes to the front. Very nicely taken by the Aussie Simmons. Trying to march this one forward, although it's going sideways. Ben White, very close to the touchline. He's been told to use it. He's waiting a bit long. Almost ended up with the referee saying, no, you've taken too long there. Dion Fourie trying to get in the breakdown, unable to do so. Ben White looks like he's going to roll this back for another box kick. And when are you streaming cricket next, says Ahmad? I knew that question would be coming at some point because it has been about a week since we've done a cricket live stream. Probably the BBL at some stage relatively soon. Or that's a terrible drop, unfortunately, because a couple of days ago, the question was probably when are you going to be streaming next? We had about 3 or 4 days off. Everyone thought we had gone missing. But no, we've still been about just working, training and whatnot. So it's been a bit of a mixture of schedules. And yeah, unfortunately, there hasn't really been any cricket on during the time that I've been awake throughout this last week. And Berkshire Super Rugby starting as it's when it starts to cool down by the midway point of the season. And Renegades play finals. That's all I care about, says Amelia in there as well. I did see a good win, though, for the Sydney Sixers today up against the Perth Scorchers. That's the thing. I've been watching the games. I just haven't been doing the streaming. Mainly because I've had other people in the room as well. So it's just easier to let them watch it. Are you going to stream India versus New Zealand? That one's still a little bit of a question mark because of the copyright scenario. If we end up getting a copyright strike for streaming an Indian cricket game and then we don't get to do the start of the Six Nations and Super Rugby, it would be extremely disappointing. That's a great chart down there from Ruan. Now the ball's going to sit up for him and now it's going to be a foot race. Tries to find the offload. He gets into it. Angelo Davis just not able to clean it up, unfortunately, and it's going back for the penalty. For Australia versus India, I think is more likely out of the two. And we sit third on the ladder and we actually capable of winning games. And also we have got the Kiwi. I bet you'll have 123K subs by the end of the year. That is a lot of subscribers, Troyden. I've learnt, though, if we don't stream, we actually go down subscribers drastically. Fun fact. I think in the 5 days where we didn't have a live stream, we went down about 30 or 40 subscribers. And so the BBL, the South Africa T20, has turned out to be a much better competition. The Indians know that when it comes to cricket tournaments, I couldn't have found better people to take care of things, says Sebastian. And where De Beers, says Wade. For me, it's currently 2 a.m., so I've got to work tomorrow morning or this morning. So just water for myself. Do you think Australia will beat India? There's a chance. They're a good outfit, Australia. And even though it's going to be in India, you know, we've seen India beat Australia in Australia. It's not completely impossible to win an away tour. It's going to be very tough, though. Where do you see the Rebels finishing on the ladder this upcoming season, says Amelia? Do you want my honest answer or the one that I think you want to hear, Amelia? Because there's probably a different one between the two. It's going to be another scrum reset. Big men in the front row here. Johan Nedeling Foucher going head-to-head with Will Goodrick Clark. They've actually both got 3 names themselves. Double whammy, but Ben White had to feed this ball in for London Irish, who have had a majority of possession throughout this one. Did you get a hard drive to work? I did not, unfortunately. One of them is completely fried. The other one, I can sneak footage off it. It just takes a really long time. So pretty much for a 10-minute video on it, it takes about 3.5 hours to put onto a different hard drive. It runs at the slowest speed I think I've ever seen, which is good to an extent because it means that that footage on that hard drive, I can still get it. We haven't completely lost it, but it just means to get it all over on another one will take about a month to be able to get it all. That's a nice kick downfield from the London Irish, 45 metres out from their line now. Another line out. Yes, your honest answer. I think they're 11th or 12th. Maybe 10th. Only because they've lost a lot of their big players as well, the Rebels. So I feel like that's going to cost them big time. Yes, they've got a couple good players coming through, but it's a tricky one. I would like to see them finish higher just because it would be great to see. But I think a few of the other Aussie sides are going to be able to get the better of them. But I hope they do well. Not just for your Rebels Stockade or Melbourne Stockade, but just for the sake of hopefully making it competitive. I can handle criticism. I'm not like one of them toxic AFVR fans or AFVR fans who don't know the difference between fiction and real life. Oof, says Freuden. Which sport would you rather play, cricket or rugby? Probably I would rather play cricket, mainly because you can get away with playing without every bone in your body feeling like it's been shaken. And we actually have like a cricket match that we took part in on the channel, which is quite fun. Kicked high from Marnie Lebok. The sun's coming out. The rain only lasted for about 5 minutes. That's a hard land on the back of the head for Ben Loader, and he looks like he's in a bit of strife here. Doesn't look too flash. Lying flat on the back. Landed awkwardly. I think we're going to have a bit of a stoppage in here. Making the playoffs is a big ask for the Rebels, says Sebastian. And also on my way to the stadium with a jet, says Wade. With a jet. So you're on, like, as in you've got a private jet to the stadium because you're running a bit late. They're already 10 and a half minutes through the game, Wade. So you might have been a bit late. And Michelle has said thanks for the coverage. No worries at all. It's hugely appreciated you guys will be here. It is a late night game here in New Zealand, like I've mentioned. So the fact that we're able to do the game at this time is quite a lot of fun. That's an awkward landing, though. That wouldn't have been fun for Ben Loader. Trust me, some Virgin River fans know how to annoy me simply when I promote some of the cast being on different shows, says Amelia. Oh, are they saying that it's actually his teammate who took him out? I think they're looking at Hutzenberg, though, as the main culprit, if there is one. Which I don't know if there is one. So he takes him out in the air, Hutzenberg, but only really because it was a block from Morisi, which made it a lot more tricky. Would you rather have 32-degree day or a 7-degree night? 7-degree night. Mainly because like you can stick more blankets on. 32 degrees is very hard to sleep in. Okay. So they've said number 13, Morisi has changed his line. So that is why Hutzenberg wasn't able to get to that challenge the way he would have liked. And it's actually obstruction penalty in favour of the Stormers. And also we have got there, my jet is one of a kind. I'd be down 10 minutes. So you might catch the second half at this stage. And Hamish's ex was going to be on the new... Oh, no. I don't know where this is going. Be on the new season of Virgin River. But they cancelled her contract after a Halloween party. Sorry, boss. I'm not yet said Sebastian. It is fine. I didn't know where it was going. Like, I read Hamish's ex and then I was like, uh-oh, what have we got ourselves? Yeah. I don't know what she's up to. She hadn't really, I don't think we've talked too much recently. She attended a wedding at one point. Yeah. That was actually the wedding of the guy who I mentioned who was getting married that I caught up with the other week. It was good to see them. I hadn't seen them since like primary school. Now 11 and a half minutes through. Stormers, they'll be a lot more happy at this stage of the match than the London Irish because the Irish, they've had their chances. They just haven't been able to take them. I just arrived at the stadium. That was a very quick 10 minutes wait. And I says, Greg, welcome in. Hope you are doing well. And A-Man says, Jake. And there is, I hope you are also doing very well. Jake, do let me know your score predictions for this game, ladies and gentlemen. At the moment, 12 minutes through, not a single point on the board. But I feel like that's probably going to change in the second half. A lot of tries could be raining. Seeing as now the sun has come out, it'll be getting a little bit drier out there. Paul DeVette about to feed the ball, and you can see the dreads of Joseph Weber hanging down over the front of the scrum. Nice short ball to Ruan now. In fact, it's Dan Duplessis who's hurt his face in the process. A great steal from Rob Simmons, although it goes back for a penalty in favour of the Stormers. 21-7 for the Stormers. Says Throyden, going for a London Irish win, 25-19. I'm going for a swim now. Bye. Have a nice day. Says Throyden, remember your sunscreen. Don't get burnt. Because getting burnt, not very fun. I feel like that was great advice, wasn't it? Yeah, Dan Duplessis just throws himself at the line. No real caution for his body. Boom, straight into the head of Ben White. And that is why the Stormers have got themselves the penalty. They will sit about maybe 5 or 6 metres out from the line. Duplessis currently just stretching out his jaw, trying to make sure it still works. Paul DeVette, looks like they've got a game plan here. I would assume the Stormers go for a rolling maul here. You've got the size right near the line. Joseph Weber needs this throw straight, though. Who does he go to? He goes to the middle. Very nicely taken by Connor Evans. Like they've said, the first start for the youngster at number 4. Now they start to get that rolling ball going. Great defense from the London Irish, although it's now starting to wheel around for the Stormers, which means they can go again, and they will continue to. It's only going to be a 1-on-3. The rolling ball's strong. It's a penalty try, and this is going to be a yellow card by the looks of it. Thank you. Have the sunscreen right here by, says Jordan. We will see you later on. Number 6. I believe that's Juan Mata Gonzalez going to end up with the yellow card. So Joseph Weber, he's claiming that one, even though it is a penalty try. And that's going to be Juan Mata Gonzalez off the field for the next 10 minutes. Hold on, where's Paddy Jackson? Oh dear, they need that bloke in this game. It's going to be enough tougher without him. Says Sebastian. Yeah, that's true. Paddy Jackson missing. Augustine Creevy, another player who's not there for the London Irish. He was one I was looking forward to seeing because I was actually going to have my thumbnail as him and Kitsoff. And then I realised he wasn't actually on the bench either. All right, and we're the London Irish girls, says Wade. Isn't it the ground? And even tougher, sorry, says Sebastian. I thought it was just like British like slang or enough tougher. Although it's quite a tongue twister, isn't it? They are just showing Joseph Dweber, a happy man with that one, puts the love heart up. Although we do need to definitely give credit to that Stormers fullback as a whole because they forced the London Irish to start wheeling around to the side. And then as soon as that happened, they wheeled around. Stormers just carved straight up the middle. The differences in weather, climate, the northern and southern hemisphere. In the northern and southern, I'm trying to say that too quick, aren't I? Climate in the northern and southern hemisphere makes this an intriguing competition. Bonus points could ultimately be decisive. Yeah, I think it's the bonus points that are going to determine home finals. And with South Africa in the competition, they certainly want home finals. Diamani stolen that one beautifully. And now the Stormers have this ball back 45 metres out from their line, back to Lebok in the pocket, gives it off to Valimza, who instead will be sending the boot downfield into the 22. He's got a lot of that, a huge amount of that, in fact, and that's going to go too far. Back to where Valimza kicked it from, where the British girl, says Wade. I mean, if you're at the ground, I assume there are a few British girls around. Can you provide New Zealand versus India commentary, says Railway Motivation? We would like to. I think it's going to be determined on how, I guess, what should I call it? How risky I'm willing to play it. Because, like, we probably will end up with a copyright strike for one of those matches of New Zealand versus India, not from showing footage, just from other channels being annoying. So it's more of the case of, do we risk it for a match that, I mean, I'll probably watch it anyway outside of the live stream, but yeah, it's going to be a tricky one. If they're at 166 not out, says Railway Motivation. And with the British girls, I'm high, says Wade. You were high before, Wade. You were in a jet, according to yourself. Have you seen the Newcastle Falcons winger who's Argentina? So it's more like 5 foot something. He's small. Newcastle Falcons winger. Do you know his name, Greg? Also, a nice little smoke on a Sunday afternoon. Good on you, Wade. Says Sebastian. I'm going to see Phantom again next week. Fingers crossed I get a photo with the man himself. Says Amelia. That's going to be the penalty to the Stormers. They take the quick tap now. I'm not going to use this one out their backline. One moment. We will go like this. There we go. Now it's going to be a nice pass off to Ruan now. Going through, break to the line again. Gives it off to Lebok. Forward pass to Angelo Davids. He will score it, but that will be ruled back, I would like to think. They're going to be checking this one. It might have been a high shot as well in the process. And I found the British girls, says Wade. Are they actually there, or is that from you smoking that you've ended up getting a little bit excited? Like, and they might actually just be a tree, but they look in the hallucination like woman. They're just showing that big scrum push from the Stormers. They won the free kick. They decided to take it quickly. And then it was just passed back. Big shot in the midfield. Great run from Ruan now, who went to Lebok and then threw it across forward. So that will be a no try. And his name is Mateo Carreras. Oh. Did he used to play sevens? Or is that the wrong player? I know there was a Carreras Yeah, so they're talking about the tackle here from the London Irish player. No, they for real, says Wade. Okay, they've said that he might have gone a little bit too upright into that challenge. May have caused the head-on-head contact. This could end up being a red card for the London Irish. You wonder whether or not they wish that Marnie Lebock had passed this one backwards, because both players smacked into each other hard. And live game says Julian Jacobs, you've got a few options to be able to watch the game live. It is on Supersport, I believe, is one option. You've also got Sky Sport, KO, Supersport, and there are a few other providers depending on whereabouts you watch it around the world. He did play sevens. Oh, so I was thinking of the right guy. Speaking of sevens, back next week. Okay, it's a clear forward pass from me, says ref. But the head-on-head contact might be the interesting part here. He uses the arms, they've said. Okay, they're going to be checking this one again, I think. Because it was head-on-head. No try, forward pass, but we are now checking the foul play. That's what the referee said. We're on our way back to Cape Town, says Wade. That was a very quick trip. Okay, so this is unfortunately head-on-head. And they're going to say that the London Irish player didn't attempt to dip far enough. That is actually Ben Loader. And also we have got their sevens returns to the mother country. It does for one game or one leg, and then it's gone. We don't get any more in New Zealand for some reason. They've decided to take it away. Okay, they're saying maybe shoulder first. It's English Rugby League, or it is a combination. So we've got an English side in the London Irish, which I know can sound a little bit confusing, seeing as there's Irish in the name. But, yeah, so it's pretty much an English side versus a South African side in this game. Do you think the red card situation in rugby has gone too far? I think in certain cases, they need to look at the rule book or the law book and go, how can we make this more realistic? Or it's hard because certain examples you're like 100% red card, but other ones, when they go, well, the way that the book's written, it says that we should give a red even though it wasn't really that bad. I think the referees are so stuck in having to pretty much see that's a red card there. That one's an interesting one, but he didn't dip. So Ben Loader, oh, that was a good voice crack. Ben Loader, I think, was his own worst enemy there. It's the Champions Cup coding. It's rugby union version of the Champions League. Top sides from different European competitions playing each other, says Sebastian. And as I play rugby, to answer your question, yes, red card situation has gone too far, says Greg. Because I get, like, don't get me wrong, player safety very important. But in some instances, for like red cards we've seen over the last year or so, you kind of go, that was like maybe a yellow, but a red is a bit too much. Like they've just said, in the law book, that's a red card because he is upright. I think that it was the right decision in this case. But now they're sitting 13 men on the field, and they've just said that the London Irish actually have the worst discipline in the Gallagher Premiership. That's going to be a penalty, though, to the London Irish. It's going to be now Ngome Zulu making his way out onto the field, replacing Marnie Lebock, who's gone for his HIA. Bit of obstruction there for white, so that is Connor Evans, who has been penalised for that one. Just having a quick look. So, yeah, India play New Zealand in 2 days' time, or 3 days' time. I landed in the sea. No worries, says Wade. Or hopefully your plane has some nice floaty devices underneath it to keep it afloat while you work out where you are in the sea. Surely you got the GPS fired up. Now, London Irish, once again, another line-out throw. This time, Mike Valimza will be the man with this one. So currently 7-0 for the Stormers. A good start to the match, and they've got a 2-man advantage for the next maybe 5 or so minutes. So they'll certainly want to make the most of it. Ben White going to be put up high now, just inside of the zone half, decided to go for the box kick downfield. Angelo Davids takes it nicely, gives it off to Damian Valimza, who almost cast straight through a gap. A great tackle made by Jansi van Rensburg. Now Angelo Davids, little chip in behind. Waits for this ball to sit up. It doesn't quite, but the London Irish are able to claim it on the halfway line. So I guess it's going to be a big prop I think that was Goodrick Clark actually playing halfback in that case. Now Ben White once again rolls this one back. It seems like the London Irish definitely going for that territory game early. I don't know if that's to use up a bit more time for this yellow card or whether it is just part of the tactics at the moment. Now Damian Willemse, it doesn't look like it's... Oh, that's another dangerous tackle. It's going to be a knock-on. But maybe Rob Simmons went a bit high with that one too. I've already mentioned worst discipline in the Gallagher Premiership. Not really a record you want to have as a side. Ben White goes back across. Number 8, Matt Rogerson. First carry we've seen from him today. Now Ben White goes to short side. Simmons with the good hands. Fires it up. Now another advantage in favour of the London Irish. Simmons goes back across. It's going to be kicked high from Rory Jennings. Cross kick attempt. Well taken in the end by Ngome Zulu. Are you following Hockey World Cup? Can New Zealand win it as they won it previously, says Coding? I was going to be following the Hockey World Cup. But I learned that here in New Zealand, they're only showing New Zealand games, which I feel like is kind of like, if you're going to buy rights for a competition, I feel like being able to buy the rights for all of the games rather than just some of them would be the better way to go. So I haven't actually seen too much of the Hockey World Cup yet. I'm sure my sister will be following it a little bit closer, seeing as she does play hockey herself. Looks like London Irish want to kick this one for the corner. Keep their momentum going. A fun wee fact, London Irish are the only side to beat the Saracens in the Premiership this season. That is a very fun fact. Did they have any yellow cards or reds throughout that game, Sebastian, I wonder? If you don't know, you don't have to look it up, by the way. That is only a if you know basis question. There's actually quite a few Stormers supporters in attendance for this game in England, which is quite nice to see. Ratunaiarawa takes it nicely at the front, and now the rolling maul once again getting forced backwards, although now they have wheeled themselves around the side. Looked like a slightly illegal drag down from the Stormers. Came in from the London Irish side, but it is play on just for now. Goodrick Clark now 10 metres out from the line. Good defence so far from the Stormers throughout this match. Not really giving them a huge amount of opportunity to break through. And the Shark ate my leg. Says, well, that is unfortunate. Lucky you got 2 of them. Well, 1 now. Going to be Goodrick Clark, the number 1 for the London Irish. Ben White now once again going off to the right-hand side. Rush defence from the Stormers. Got to make sure that they stay on side. Last thing they want now is to give away that advantage. Currently, total of 90 seconds left of the yellow card. 18 minutes left to the half. Great diving catch from Goodrick Clark, who had to go onto it. Ben White now gives it off to Jennings. Almost went up the middle. A good tackle made by Paul DeVette, though, just to make sure wasn't able to snipe round the side of the breakdown. Ben White again goes off to Rogerson. Great attacking run. 10 metres still separates them between their first try. A little kick in behind attempt from Jennings. It doesn't work out, and the Stormers get the ball back. Will be Damian Willemse able to kick it high. I don't think the kick was the right choice. Yes, you weren't making too many metres, but you still had the Stormers under pressure. And now, great take from Ben White. Passes off to his teammate in the midfield. That was Janse van Rensburg. We haven't actually seen too much at all of Hazel Collins out on the other side. Now it is going to be back across. Nicely done. Please focus on the game and leave the weather, says Leon. You must be at the start, Leon, I assume, because we were talking about the weather a good 15 minutes or so ago. We haven't mentioned that the sun's out at the game the last 10 minutes or so. Ratunaiarawa once again does very nicely. Now Ben White goes back across to the left-hand side. One more wide cutout pass. Finds the hands now. Janse van Rensburg finds the offload. Hazel Collins, first touch for him. Kicks it on the inside. Great diving take there from Ngome Zulu. Counter-ruck from the London Irish. Simmons all over it. But the London Irish unable to get the penalty. Instead, it will be the Stormers who just managed to retain 10 metres out from their own line. They have had to work extremely hard there. Massive shot onto Dion Forey. And now he ate both legs. It's very odd if you pay for subscription, then they don't show all matches, says Coding, and only a red card and 2 yellow cards, yet they still won. Jeez. That's very impressive. Did the Saracens have any cards as well? That's a flat pass. But it is going to be a play on now for the London Irish, who are starting to cut a few more gaps in the Stormers' defence. Not looking as secure as it once was. Ratanaia Rawa tried to go around the side of the breakdown. Penalty goes the way of the London Irish now, and they will have 14 men now back out on the field. And did you hear that Winston Reid retired from football? I assumed it was only a matter of time. I think this season was definitely going to be his last if he did play it out, but I hope he goes into some sort of coaching role here in New Zealand. It would be quite cool to see just that little bit of extra experience. Of course, that iconic moment for New Zealand at FIFA World Cups in 2010 to whip the shirt off after scoring. Ben Earl got carded from the Saracens. It was your typical London derby brutality, says Sebastian there. Just showing that red card again of Ben Loader, which is a shame because up till that point, he had actually been playing very well, but you've still got to duck. He didn't do so, and Marnie Lebock pretty much went to sleep after that one. Now Rory Jennings able to line up his first chance at points in this match. It's been 25 minutes of this game so far, and this would make the score 3 points to 7, but he has to get it over. That is the tricky part, and he has missed. Unfortunately, it was only about 35 metres out in front, just ends up hooking it. So you wonder whether or not that was the right choice for the London Irish. You can understand why they went for it, just to try and create some points on the board for them, but missing that certainly was not what they were after. Anyone wondering about the other game of the Champions Cup currently happening? It is Castra taking on Edinburgh. Castres, they are leading that game 12 points to 7 over Edinburgh. Nicely taken down the wing by the man who just missed that kick, Jennings. Now Ben White back across towards... Who decided it was a good idea to interview a London Irish coach and ask him about the red card? And then afterwards they were like, oh, we can hear your anger, or we can understand your anger and hear your anger in your voice. And the guy just went, yeah, cheers. That was pretty much the interview. Come on, you Quins. See Sebastian, their game coming up a little bit later on. We've actually just seen a try from Edinburgh to make it now 14 points to 12. So that game's changing just a little bit as well. Now short ball, Jennings trying to go for the quick hands. Ratanaia Rawa. They are going backwards quite a bit here for the London Irish. But Yatsi van Rensburg finds the offload now up to Fagerson. Oh, sorry, it's actually Rogerson. Oh, that's close to being a drop, but he's done well. Mike Valimza to hang on to it. And Dion Forey gets his grip over the ball. Does end up winning the penalty. I think they were just asking to see whether or not they could get away with going back for that penalty, but they do not. Does end up going the penalty the Stormers' way. So 27 minutes in a close-fought victory, or a close-fought match between these two sides currently. The Stormers, the majority of the games of the URC, they always chase that bonus point for 4 or more tries. They're currently sitting on 1, so they're not going too badly in terms of time. And also we have got their Quins versus Sharks next week in the Champions Cup. Streaming potential, definitely potential for that one, because last time they played, it was an absolutely incredible game. Ended up being 39 points to 31 for the Sharks. But the Harlequins, they were always trying to go for that comeback. And this next game, it's on Sunday morning at 2 a.m. I'm Googling things as I'm talking, so I'm being pretty strategic there. It's like I've got someone in my ear telling me stuff. But, yeah, Harlequins versus Sharks. That game's going to be 2 a.m., and it's a home game for the Harlequins. So, enjoy a comeback at home for the Harlequins, that is for sure. Wondering what Shark side they go with. That's going to be the advantage now, and the penalty goes the way of the London Irish. Every time a player just runs it up individually, straight away the opposition lock over that ball, get themselves that penalty, and yes, boss, please. Quins versus Sharks. Says Nate, yeah. We definitely have to get that game going, won't we? It's 2 a.m., which does mean it doesn't overlap with the New Zealand Sevens or the Hamilton Sevens. It might mean that we get a slightly later night on Sunday and wake up slightly earlier for the Hamilton Sevens on Sunday, but I can sleep before the Harlequin Sharks game and then have another sleep afterwards. It will work perfectly fine. I believe it should be a good game. We've got to focus on Racing 92 until then, says Sebastian. Yeah, I think my plan for that game, I did want to stream it, and I would have had I not got work at about 8 a.m. tomorrow. I think I've got a shift heavy window, so I don't want to be half asleep and put my hand through one, which would be an interesting. Should wear a GoPro just in case that happens. It's going to be stolen. It's going to be the try, easy peasy. Ruan now scores it between the sticks, read the back line of the London Irish, and that will be the second try of the match for the Stormers. Very nicely done. Ruan now, he's got pace. Him and Dan du Plessis, a very dangerous midfield combo, and they've shown that once again with the way he was able to steal that ball. And Hamish just came from watching my Munster stick out a close victory over Northampton Saints. Says Connor Cahill, yeah, close game between those two sides. A great first half for Munster, but Northampton was certainly pushing them throughout that fixture. That try was a bit anticlimactic, not for the Stormer supporters. They would have been absolutely loving it, but just the London Irish. It's not how we expected the next try of the match to be scored off an interception. Ruan now, it was the pass from Jennings that just went a bit too floaty. There's been a chastising? Chastising? Is that how you'd say it? Weekend for the Premiership and the European Cup, says Connor Cahill. I think only Series have won so far, says Connor Cahill. Yeah, there's been some tough matches for the Premiership sides. Kick is successful, so it makes the score now 14-0 in favour of the Stormers. So yeah, we did. Oh no, Leicester won. Leicester won in the Champions Cup. Gloucester lost. Sale lost. Northampton lost. Exeter lost. Saracens won, and that's all at this stage. So 2 out of about 6. Sarries and Leicester, pretty much the stock standard 2, I guess you could call them. Yeah, just one more chance later on tonight with the Harlequins. Nicely taken inside of the 22 by Sasha Ngomezulu. Sit downfield, does find the touchline as well. Nice clearing kick. And they were the first to qualify, actually. Says Connor Cahill. Yeah, their nice win over Clermont. Who do the Stormers play next week? Am I right in saying, yeah, they are versing Clermont? So that will be a little bit later on Sunday. That will actually be the matchup at 6:30 a.m. That's an ugly time. And then there's also Lyon versus Bulls at 9 a.m. on Saturday, which will be overlapping a little bit. And now Stephen Kitsoff's got that ball for the Stormers. They've actually been able to work that one away from a line-out that they didn't have. Oh, it's gone over the top. And Hudson-Berg just not quite able to get their hands on that ball. And still, in spite of that terrible weekend for them, especially with their insane depth figures, says Connor Cahill. And yes, Stormers play Clermont at home, says Connor. A lot of yelling going on out there on the field. I'm not sure who's yelling at who, but a lot of yelling. I don't think they're yelling at the referee. Surely not. Although we did see a new referee for that game last night that we did cover. He actually ended up getting replaced, which was an interesting one. Now is going to be the line-out throw for the London Irish. So they are thrown right over the back, nicely taken. Now Ben White back into the pocket, gives it off to Jennings. Short side, Hazel Collins kicks it downfield. Great kick and a little bit of a juggle there from Hudson-Berg, who's been able to just clean it up. Now Willemse goes back to Hudson-Berg. You can see the pressure starting to get put on him. But down the wing, about 3 missed tackles. Beautiful offer from Diamani. And now Willemse are going to be sitting on the halfway line. Another opportunity to go across left-hand side. Angelo Davids. Skip pass. I don't think it was supposed to be. He just got a bit too much on it. Ruan now tries to go for the chip and chase. Waits for the bounce. Doesn't end up getting it. Tackles the man as he's falling. It's back on the side of the London Irish. They've done well there. There's certainly a lot of pressure being put on by the Stormers at this point. Yeah, pretty poor by the English sides. London Irish not looking good either. Quins got a tough job ahead of them. Says Sebastian. Another big run from Goodrick Clark. Penalty against the Stormers, which has been something they've done a little bit throughout this season, unfortunately. They have been giving away a few too many penalties in the URC. The back three is always somewhere where they'll be dangerous. And anytime the London Irish kick that ball just a little bit too far, straight away you've got Willemse, Hudson-Berg, and also out on the other wing, They have got Angelo Davids, who scored Stormers' second try. Second try was scored by Rowan Nell, and then that first try was that penalty try on them as well. And I take the major issue with the shouting towards referees. I watched the Clermont Leicester game, hated the players complaining when the referee made his decisions, says Connor Cahill. And if this was not brought under control, this will turn into football and nobody will ever want to referee, says Connor. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one because there was a patch where they were trying to cut down on that a little bit, but that kind of went away relatively quickly, I found. They were like, you're not allowed to talk back to the referee, and then like 2 days later, they were like, right, well, just don't do it as much, and players would just go back to it. Now another penalty, this time actually against number 5. This one is Rob Simmons in through the side, the Aussie. Stormers get themselves another penalty. It looks like it's going to be Sasha Ngumezulu. Going to kick this one into touch off the right boot. Only 5 minutes left in the first half, and the Stormers already on par to get themselves yet again another bonus point, especially 30 children who dress up as adults. Said Connor, and also Morning Amish Brother says Bertie V and Newcastle are getting thrashed as well in the Challenge Cup. 2 sides or 2 clubs were wiped off the face of the planet. Bit of a downfall for English rugby, says Sebastian. And Bertie, I know you normally give your score prediction, so what have you got for this match? How many, I assume you're back in the Stormers, so how many do you think the Stormers are winning by for this matchup? Oh, captain's getting called over. Okay. So they've just said it's a free kick to the Stormers because the London Irish have closed the gap. Next time you close the gap, it will be a penalty. Comment from the ref. Fair enough. We've actually seen quite a bit of that referee throughout this game so far. Now the Stormers, they'll have themselves a 22 sitting 22. Have themselves a scrum sitting 22 metres out from the line. A good attacking opportunity here right near the end of the first half. If they score again now, they're definitely looking on par to get themselves the bonus point. And I remember me, my name is Zion Fenton. I do remember you, Zion. Hope you are doing well. I remember you didn't have the name, the real one, the last time that we saw you. And those mega deals you signed onto a few seasons back have taken their toll. Seems that way, Connor, says Sebastian. Now, all about to be fed in by Paul DeVette. Aggressive Stormers pack. I believe they've got a little bit of a weight advantage at the current time, although it looks like the London Irish forcing them backwards, very close to the London Irish penalty by Paul DeVette. Now going across, wide cutout pass into the hands of Hudson-Berg. Not a lot of space. Walking on a tightrope, just keeping it in the field of play. Gives it across to Ngumezulu. Now Paul DeVette. One more on the inside. It off to the big forward, Dion Thorey. Wrestled down to the turf. DeVette again gives it off to Kitsoff. One of the first carries we've seen from the Spicy Plum in this fixture. Back to the left-hand side, right into the sun now. Which is nice because it did look like it was going to be a really poor day at the start of this match. There was rain falling, but now it is sunny as. And Ruan now passes on the outside to Damien Valimza. Consider the offload, does find it in the end. A lot of pressure there on Diamani, wrestled down. Now back across to DeWeber. Does a nice step. Back and forward, gives it off to Goodrick Clark. And one more flat ball, if not maybe a little bit forward into the hands of the big man, Connor Evans. Paul DeVette, wide cutout pass, gives it to Hudson-Berg. Now Dan Duplessis trying to get down that wing, but good tackle made by Jansi van Rensburg. DeVette again. One more across. Almost stolen in the breakdown. Paul DeVette. Little kick in behind from Ngumezulu. Looking like it's going to sit up for the Stormers. Breaks through the tackle. And Hudson-Berg will score the third of the match now for the Stormers. They are 1 away from the bonus point now. I read an article that Dave Ewers may have signed an Ulster deal. Will be leaving the Chiefs. The exodus of premiership players continues. And brother, I think it's going to be close. Not back in the Stormers, going London Irish by 3, says Bertie V there. It's a brilliant pass from Paul DeVette. Gave it off to Hudson-Berg, or in fact gave it to Ngumezulu, who then got it to Hudson-Berg off the grubber and just broke through that last-ditch tackle attempt. Seems you have reached the mark of 100 plus viewer streams. Says the real one. Depends on the match overall. like we had last night, I think we were around that 60 mark or somewhere along those lines, which is still, I think, very good for a Champions Cup live stream. Yeah, Hudson-Berg, boom, straight off the step, breaking through that last-ditch effort from Lucio Cinti. Wasn't quite able to get it. He actually ended up getting tackled afterwards as well by, it was Dion Fourie who got it. What's your prediction, brother? For me, I think it's going to be a tough day at the office for the London Irish. They've already had that red card. I think I'm going Stormers by 30. I think I'll go with the Quinn-style second half comeback required for that to happen, Birdie. Here's Sebastian. Only 50 seconds left of the first half here, and the Stormers are sitting 21 points to 0 up. A very good start to the match in the first 40. Hudson-Berg, his first try of the match. So we have seen one from him, one from Ruan Nel, and also the penalty try so far for the Stormers. Great take from Angelo Davids, tackled by Rogerson. Paul DeVette calling his team back over next to him for Diamani, who's done well. I prefer the New Zealand rugby like the Highlanders, says the real one. So I guess, Zion, question for you, Super Rugby just around the corner. What number on the table do you see the Highlanders finishing? Because I know you're a Highlanders fan. How far do you think they'll be able to go? Now going back across again. Nice attacking run. Just inside of their own 22 here. Paul DeVette back into the pocket. Kicked into touch. That will be half-time. And that is going to be 21-0 going into the second half. The Stormers, they've had a good first 40. London Irish, they're going to have to really work hard last. Nice. The thing is, it could happen. But hopefully they do end up going a little bit better. And Snap is not aware of the red card. Well, then Stormers by 15. Says Betty V. And I'm starting to think that there may need to be some kind of URC Premiership collaboration in the future, kind of like a British, Irish, Italian, and SAFA League, says Connor Cahill. Would you say kind of like perhaps a Champions Cup competition, Connor, with all the sides involved? Save the Premiership clubs, they're in serious trouble, says Connor. Currently half-time in this fixture. And I'd say that the second half, it's going to be a relatively tough one for the London Irish. They are still down a man, and they will be for the rest of the half. They've had a yellow card earlier on. That was actually number 6-1, Matan Gonzalez. So any more disciplinary issues from the London Irish, only a few metres out from their line, they could be in a bit of trouble, I would think, and might end up with another 10 minutes in the bin, more like a league or something, says Connor. And also I miss Waisaki Naholo, or however you spell his name, says the real one. And it's a bit of a shame about his brother, because Kini Naholo, he signed with the Crusaders and got like one game. So I feel like there's so many other teams in New Zealand that he could have gone to that they would have actually given him a good crack. Because like you look at him and you look at maybe an option of a Highlanders winger, a Chiefs winger, any of those sides would definitely accept Kini Naholo as a good option. Turns out the Quins have some financial issues as well. Whose game crashing down like a stack of bricks on me, says Sebastian. And where they play a lot more than just the knockout game, says Connor Cahill. Because they are struggling at the moment, and it seems like a lot of teams are starting to find a lot of issues financially, which is the last thing you want, because we've already seen the Wasps drop out of the competition. We've seen Worcester drop out of the competition. 2015 was the Highlanders' best season, says the real one. A solid 40 minutes by the Stormers. Irish chances of controlling the second half. And there used to be a British and Irish Cup where you had the Champions Cup or Championship clubs, division below Premiership, the Irish provinces, A teams competing, says Connor. And I think the thing that's made it tricky is how many games these sides are playing, whether it's international or like league games. Their schedule's pretty tight, so I think it's a tricky one to try and fit any more games in. The only time to do it would be maybe during the off season. You'd end up having the Premiership players go up against maybe the Irish teams of the URC, but then you've also got the Six Nations, you've got the July and November internationals, and then I guess the more rugby that these players play, the more money the clubs are probably going to have to pay them to continue playing. So it's a tricky situation to be in when you've got money problems for a rugby club, because all you want to do is just get out there and try and fix it. But just playing out on the field won't always do that. You got to find more like ways of doing it, if that makes sense. No more games. Player safety is paramount, says Marlon. So yeah, the only way to do it would be to have a second team, and then that's a whole other group of players to pay. So whether or not you have like a Harlequins A versus a Leinster A or something like that, something will have to change. It's starting to look like the URCN top 14 are well ahead of the premiership, says Konakeo, and Sharks played well yesterday, says Casper. They did indeed. Managed to get themselves a nice win in the end over the opposition, who I've already forgotten. They didn't play Bordeaux. Yeah, no, they did play Bordeaux, didn't they? 32 points to 3, I think, was the score in that one. And then also Bulls versus the Exeter Chiefs. And corporate sponsorships and less teams, says Marlon. And also Highlanders did quite well in the two countries. Like the old Super Rugby, I forgot what it was called. We got all the way to the end just to get reaped by the Blues. So Super Rugby Trans-Tasman, they did very well in that competition, the Highlanders, staying relatively close in it. Haven't played rugby league since 2019 due to COVID-19. I'm looking forward to playing again, says Nate. Tell you what, make sure you stretch. Best advice I can give you is make sure, even if it's an extra 5 minutes, you show up 5 minutes early, just make sure you stretch out your hammies, your ankles, anything that needs stretch, because if you don't, your body's going to go ping, and then you have to watch from the sideline. That is something I definitely believe is needed. A good stretch, nice little warm-up. At the moment, in terms of the cricket off-season, I know cricket maybe not quite as physically taxing on the body as a game of rugby league, but I think I played cricket 5 times last week in the nets, just trying to make sure that, like, when it comes back to the regular season, I'm going to be a little bit fitter and also not going to get injured as easily. And that's the name. And yes, in the Bulls as well, says Betty V, and hit the gyms and tighten up. Cheers, boss. Follow your tips, says Nate. I feel like all of a sudden, I don't know what's happened in terms of from about 2 days ago to now. Or it might just be because I've done a lot of cricket this week, but I think I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow or later today, which is weird to do because I haven't actually been since in like December, early December, that is. So, yeah, might be a good idea to get back into it, build up a bit of strength. I got to work on the wrist so that when I flick the bat and try and send it all the way to the boundary, I don't end up just half hitting it. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I've got a couple of video ideas revolving around cricket as well. I'd like to do it. Actually, I've got a couple rugby video ideas as well for the near future. In fact, that's a question, ladies and gentlemen. While we're at halftime, is there any type of rugby video, real life rugby that is, not playing in an actual match, but either challenges or some sort of goal / thing that you would like to see me do in a video? Do put it in the chat. I will star it and we'll see what we can do, whether or not we can make those videos happen. What place do you think the Hurricanes will get? I think they're going to be mid-table, make it through to the quarterfinals, and then from there, who knows? At the end of the day, when you're in the quarters, you only need 3 good games and you won the championship. So I see them in the top 8, though. They've got a strong side, and they're always right up there because of those forwards that they've got. And Stormers by 12 points here, says Mo Gammett. Definitely a possibility. I think my prediction was Stormers by 30, which might be a bit harsh against the London Irish, but with that man disadvantage, it might just make it a little bit trickier for them as well. I'm just watching a Jamaican run really fast, and it's making me want to do some running, even though I know I can take 2 steps from running and then get tired. In fact, no, the USA are in the lead. It's a relay race. I remember we had one of those back at school. We had to do the relay, and unfortunately it was like parents. No, it was staff versus teachers versus students or something like that. And as soon as the race started, one of the staff members tore her Achilles straight off the bloody, or did a calf and just went ping, and then that was the end of the race. And we had to wait, and then they did it again. I'm saying Crusaders will get first place. I'll let you know how we go next weekend warm-up against our Altona Roosters versus Northern Thunder, says Nate. Yes, it do keep me informed what's been happening. How can I put this broadcast on my homepage, please? Says Mo Gammett. Your homepage. What type of homepage is it, Mo Gammett? As in, like, my commentary or the actual match as well? I got a few questions. I'll try my best to help you out. I know that the highlights will be up on YouTube straight after the match. on the Champions Cup YouTube channel. I can highly recommend checking out that one. In fact, while we're at it, we might as well get the link to the Champions Cup YouTube channel. We'll go like that, and we'll go like that, and like that. There we go. So that is where you can catch the highlights of these games. They do upload them relatively quickly, so I would recommend checking those ones out. Also, we have got there your commentary, says Mo Gamut. So how can I put the broadcast on my homepage? On my commentary. You on desktop or PC, Mo Gamut? Broadcast on the homepage. Sebastian, you might have to help me out with this one. And once rugby is positioned into the USA, after the Rugby World Cup, television money may be answered to growing rugby union in the US. Wait, don't the Blues still have Beauden Barrett? They do for another season, I think, and then he ends up going overseas. So they've only got him for a bit longer. Richie Mo'unga also going to be going overseas. So it will be interesting to see how he ends up going. Also, I think the Sharks would win this Heineken Cup, says Casper. Yeah, at the moment, they're not sitting too badly. I think we've got the draw of the other side at the moment, which does mean we can't really see how the Sharks are doing. But I know that they're relatively high in their group stable. But La Rochelle, Leicester, and Toulouse all sitting on 13 points. If Storm win this game with a bonus point, they will actually move themselves right up to fourth place at the end of round 3. And they'll just have one more game to come up against Clermont, who are currently sitting there on 6. So it's a relatively close table overall near the top. I believe Leicester, what are they going to be playing next week? I believe they've got Ospreys, in fact. So that could actually be a relatively close game as well. A lot of good games coming up. Toulouse, I think, are going to be playing Munster as their other game. And also, we've got the people who upload the URC highlights should take some serious lessons from the people who do the European Champions Cup, the Super Rugby highlights, as they do an absolute botched job of their own. Mr. Frizzell as well, says Nazi Williams. True. He is going to be going overseas. And no, not Richie Mo'unga. I don't know how to spell his name. You've done very well, the real one. But yeah, he is going to be going overseas after the World Cup. So he's got one more season and then he's going to be heading overseas, getting paid some big dollars, and then may come back for the next season in about 2027. Interesting to see how Munster's own John Ryan fares down in New Zealand. Says Connor Cahill. Yeah, there's a lot of moves happening in rugby at the moment, isn't there? Whether that's players, coaches, any other role. A lot of movement. So it will be interesting to see how they do end up going in the end. They're just showing the Jamaican team. They're wearing the Puma kit. Who's got the Puma? I think the Warriors are actually a Puma kit. I got some Warriors shorts the other day, but I don't have a Warriors kit. I've just got the shorts. So they're all right. They're comfy enough. Accepting their medals. I'm not actually sure what event that's from that they did get a medal for. And Prime Super Rugby was something else. He's a Waikato Chiefs player in about 2 weeks, says Connor Cahill. And also, hi guys, while you are here, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and don't forget to hit that like button, says Birdie V. You heard the man. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. It is hugely appreciated. You guys will be in here for this late night live stream. We're currently sitting 3 a.m. New Zealand time. I believe second half should only be about 2 or 3 minutes away, and we will get to see whether or not the London Irish have a bit of fight left in them for this contest. They're a man down. It's going to be a tough one. I'm a Stormer all the way, says Mo Gamut there. At the moment, the Stormers, the 3 tries being scored so far throughout this match. We did see the first try was actually a penalty try off the rolling maul that led to the yellow card of Juan Matan Gonzalez. And then also 2 more tries scored, Ruan Nell and also Hudson Berg, the other man who was able to score it. And also we've got the year 2:59, says Zion there. Yeah, very late night for us here in New Zealand on a Monday morning as well, which means we've got a full week ahead of us, ladies and gentlemen, which will involve the Champions Cup, might involve a little bit of cricket along the way as well. Also, while we're talking about sport, we have got the Sevens coming back next weekend. They're actually all going to be happening here in New Zealand, which is awesome news. And that is going to be, there it is, the Hamilton Sevens. for the men. South Africa versus Canada, the first match that's going to be taking place, and that will be on Saturday at 9:10 a.m. New Zealand time. And that is going to be a very exciting game. Also, Fiji play France in that morning session, Samoa, Kenya, New Zealand, Tonga, Great Britain, Australia. There's a lot of good games that are coming up just around the corner. I love staying up all night. 0 hours of sleep, says Zion. I would recommend getting some sleep, though. It's normally very handy. Although, I guess with being on school holidays, you can maybe get away with it a little bit more, but I would highly recommend getting some sleep. Because I've learned over the last week, if you don't get enough sleep, you do start to pay for it. Like, by about Friday, I was buggered because I hadn't been sleeping much. Weird to hear that it's Monday. We are at 6 a.m. here in Vancouver, and it's Sunday, says Connor Cahill. It's almost bright time this side, says Roloff, at 4 p.m. here in South Africa. And college is hard, says Zion. It is, which is why you need plenty of sleep. It's the recommendation. What else do they recommend? They recommend fruit. Fruit's all right. I enjoy a mango every once in a while. That's about it, really. We were going to do a video at some point, which is George tries fruits. Because the man doesn't like too many fruits. He doesn't like too many vegetables either. That's another video idea, but that might be coming up. Hang on, it's Monday, isn't it? I'm going to quickly look. Enough, just about to get underway. Did George upload a video? No, he didn't. Okay, never mind. I know that he likes to upload videos on Sunday, so I thought I'd just quickly check, see if he had uploaded on the Kiwi Lads Entertainment channel. But I do see 2 games of the Premier League just about to kick off. A little bit later on tonight, we're going to get to see Arsenal taking on Tottenham Hotspurs. Should be a great match. Second half in a sunny London Irish stadium, also known as GTEC Community Stadium. I was joking about 0 hours of sleep. This is the only night I've stayed up late, says the real one. But it will be the Stormers kicking off from right to left. And we are back underway, ladies and gentlemen, for the second half of this Champions Cup fixture. It hasn't started the way that Ngume Zulu would have liked. He's just kicked that one straight out on the full. And it will now be a line-out throw, a scrum feed, I should say, for the London Irish on halfway. So a pretty big mistake. Stormers coach not looking impressed at all. London Irish. Best case scenario, they get themselves, to be honest, they will need to score 4 tries here to get themselves a bonus point, I feel, because the Stormers have got at least 1 more try in them. They want to be within the 7 points. Good win for Man United yesterday. There's BDV, yeah. The Manchester derby going the way of United, and Liverpool went down 3-0 to Brighton. That's a surprise. It's probably one of the bigger upsets that we've had in a little while, is it? Harry Kane says the real one. It's fed in now by Ben White, looking off to the right-hand side. Once again, kicking him behind. And it's going to bounce into touch. Good kick. And then I was about to say, if this goes out on the full, that is a massive mistake to make. And Ben White gets his hands on the ball. In fact, it's a 50-22, so an even better kick from Ben White than I first anticipated. Who's winning, PSG or Bayern? Very hard not to back PSG with current form. I feel they will probably get the job done. I think Bayern will make it tough, though. They normally do. Nice flick out the back here now. Good attack and run from number 14, Lucio Cinti. Now only a few metres out from the line. The London Irish looking to be aggressive here. Ben White gives it off to Goodrick Clark. Dion Forey wins the penalty, though, for the Stormers. He's hurt himself in the process, but he has got the penalty for his side. 3-0 is the real one. Yeah. Right, they're going to be checking on Dion Forey. I think he got his neck crushed downwards, which is never nice. What happened here? I think it was actually Simmons who came in. Yeah, it's just the crunch. Oh, they're going to have another look at this. This is going to be another yellow card for the London Irish. Kieran Parker, like they said, he's only been on the field for 2 minutes, and he may have already got himself a yellow card. Do you stream much soccer? Not a huge amount. We didn't do much of the FIFA World Cup. In fact, we did none of the FIFA World Cup, unfortunately. It wasn't so much because we didn't want to. It's more we missed a few of the early games due to other live streams that we were doing, and then it got to the stage how I didn't want to just jump in for the finals of the competition. I wanted to instead, I guess, if I was going to jump in, I would have had to do it before that stage, just to build a bit of a base of me covering it, if that makes sense. I was 0. Says Nate there. Right, we're hearing some French. Oh, yeah, that's head contact. This is going to be at least a yellow. And also we've got there Judas Priest. What was he thinking? I think the problem was he wasn't thinking about it now. I'm joking. Says Nuzzy Williams. Right. Okay. They are speaking French, so I can't tell you what they're saying, unfortunately. I need to learn French with the amount of French referees that we've got in rugby at the moment. Okay, they're saying there's less debate in this one than Ben Loaders, which means it could be another red card. And London Irish would be playing with 13 men on the field. But they were able to win up against Saracens with a few men disadvantaged. Oh, what colour is this? It's a red card. And he's only been on the field for a couple of minutes. And Parker goes, Kieran Parker going off, him and Ben Loader now not on the field. It's just not smart, unfortunately. And when was the last time you made a video about Rugby Challenge? There's a real one. That was a while. In fact, that was a very while. A very little while anyway. I think it might have been a blindfolded one. Maybe. I'm going to quickly type in Rugby Challenge. And this will tell me. Last time we did a Rugby Challenge video was Super Rugby based. And it was actually the 18th of June 2022. It was me and my mum playing. So it's been a wee while. Now, we kick downfield. Another decent kick from Ben Youngs. Oh, sorry, Ben White, I should say. But playing with 13 men, it's just not good. And sorry, my cousin Nuzzy Williams, how you doing? And that was Nate, bro, says Nuzzy. And also, yeah, good, thanks, Nate, yourself. And what on earth is it going to take for players to learn how to tackle or clean out properly, says Connor? Don't know, because they are the most penalised side in the Gallagher Premiership. They also have received multiple red cards throughout a majority of competitions that they play in. And this is completely unacceptable, says Connor Cahill. Okay, we do see now Goodrick Clark going off the field. Here's the other sub. Oh, it's kicked downfield. Now, very decent kick. London Irish now deep inside of their own area. Lucio Cinti now will be kicking this one downfield. Massive boot there. A great take from Damien Willems. Looking away from the sun, which was the benefit. Inside of the 22, kicks it downfield again. London Irish claim it inside of their 22. And now Hazel Collins, a man who we've hardly seen throughout this one. What happened? I popped off for a snack. Pretty much another red card for the London Irish. It was an illegal clean out in the breakdown from the replacement tight head prop Parker, who had only been on the field for 2 minutes. And yeah, Munster's Jack O'Donoghue, giving it a stupid act of his own, was rightly sent off. So here's Connor Gale, doesn't quite find the touchline with that one. Umome Zulu takes it, and that one has found touch now. And Hamish joined a bit late in the first half. I would like to know if Mani Labok was in the starting lineup. Or was he injured, says Peter Williams. He's starting at 10 for this game, and they've got Valimza at 15. So it seems to be a combination that they enjoy, although we have seen Valimza, he actually played at 12 the other week, and then also cancelled in at flyer. But yeah, Labok gets the start. This one, our thoughts on Richie leaving Super Rugby, says the real one. Makes sense. In a way, at the end of the day, he's committed himself to the Crusaders for a long time, and now he's getting near the end of his career, so a lot of players... You know, you might as well go overseas and make extra money. Like, as much as people go, oh, where's your loyalty? You know, you were at this club for 10 years. Why are you going somewhere else now? It's like, yeah, but, like, if you know your career's coming to a close, why shouldn't you be able to get, like, paid double for doing half the work type thing? And Richie in Japan, isn't he? Says Nate. I believe he did have a season in Japan a little while ago, didn't he? But now he's heading to France. Or no, sorry. No, he is heading to Japan for about 4 years after the World Cup. How much y'all reckon the top players in this comp get a year roughly? I'll say maybe like a million or something along those lines, maybe a bit more, million and a bit. And also, I'm gonna change my name to Jacob because Nazi, I always get him blamed, says Nathan. And also, oh well, now they are a rugby league side, like Coding says Sebastian. Very true. Very well done as well, Sebastian, in terms of, the full picture. You're bringing it back to an earlier reference. Have you tried stand-up comedy? I've been watching a lot of stand-up comedy recently. I don't know why. I go through patches. About a few weeks ago, I was watching random guys like on an island fishing with a GoPro. And then, Lucio Cinti's put the ball down. And now I'm on to stand-up comedy. I don't think I could ever do that, though. I feel like I would be terrible at stand-up comedy. That's going to be a foot trip, is it? What happened there? Either way, it's going to be a try for Angelo Davids. It just sits up and he takes it. And it's going to be the fourth try of the match now for the Stormers. I'm not falling for this crap where people try to defend players because their impulsive approach and bad timing as a player. You learn each and every day not to go for the head, says Connor Cahill. It was a great step from Lucio Cinti, but then just got stripped by Dan du Plessis, who said, this is my ball now. I'm going to kick it way downfield. The awkward bounce of the ball dodges two London Irish players, and then it just goes through and behind. Angelo Davids picks it up and does score the fourth try of the match now for the Stormers. There was almost a foot trip attempt. That was a dive from Dan du Plessis. Unfortunately, he's been watching too much of the football. In fact, it looked very similar to one on the edge of the box. You're trying to get yourself possible penalty. I probably have the skill for it. I also know that I would most likely choke on stage when I found myself in front of more than 5 people, says Sebastian. I feel like you have the wit, if that makes sense. Like you have the quick brain thinking. Yeah, that's poor from Dan du Plessis there. And in fact, they should probably give him a warning for that, Dan du Plessis. We don't want to see that in rugby union, players flopping, trying to get themselves an extra penalty. Like they scored the try anyway. Well, it was nice timing. Or tuning into the stream after so long, I got to go to sleep. Goodbye, says Zion. So we will see you later on. A bonus try. Says Nate, my solution to the red cards is that the carded player can be immediately replaced on field. Carded player, however, it's an automatic minimum of 3-month ban from all rugby, says Roloff. Although it depends on the red, because sometimes you would say 3 months is too much. Definitely if it's for something such as like if you accidentally trip and then end up cleaning up a player, you still end up with that red card scenario. But it's a tricky one, isn't it? Because each situation is probably just that little bit different. Trying to get through. Trying to milk the penalty there, Ben White, and he does end up winning the advantage, but doesn't make him the most popular man. If this was in South Africa, he would have gotten booed off the field right there, but it's going to be the penalty to the London Irish. But I enjoy stand-up gigs, tend a few when I'm able to, says Sebastian. See, I haven't attended a stand-up comedy show. I feel like now I'm kind of like, I wouldn't mind seeing it. Also watch on YouTube like yourself, says Sebastian. Oh, who's your comedian that you watch probably the most, Sebastian, at the moment? Okay, Ben White just getting warned by the referee saying, look, if you're going to try and milk it like that, at least make it look reasonable. Well, that's what I translated anyway. Probably not what he said. I just show him one of the men who got the red card, Ben Loader, next to him. Parker also ended up red carded. And 10 out of 10 stream. Goodbye, Hamish. Is that your name? I forgot. It is my name. So you've done very well there, Zion. Yeah, I guess we'll see you a little bit later on. Worst comes to worst. If it is a little while, we will see you for Super Rugby. It's just around the corner, but it is going to be a line out here for the London Irish. Mike Valimza. Yeah, to throw it in. Waiting for a while. Waiting for a long time. He's done nicely. Now 10 metres out from the line. Rolling forward, they've got the advantage here as well, the London Irish. Stormers trying to defend it, although it's not working too well for them at the moment. Just nicely manipulating the defence. They go through just 1 metre short. It's going to be a penalty try, I believe, and that means a yellow card now for the Stormers. That's actually going to be Stephen Kitsoff penalised. And also, hello, bro. Today, Virat King Kohli, 166 not out, 4500s. Says Mono. Yeah, he did very well in that game up against Sri Lanka, which I think is still going on, isn't it? If I'm not wrong. And take care, lad, says Nate. And goodbye, says Zion. And there's a little bit of argy-bargy going on now out on the field, bit of push and shove. Tension's running high. Yeah, currently... Wait, or is that game over? It might be over. India, Sri Lanka. Oh, wow. Okay, Sri Lanka got bowled out for 73, so that game is now over. That's not great when India get 390. Hey, well done. I've been watching a lot more of Jimmy Carr than my sanity appreciated, probably like that dark humour, says Sebastian. Have you been watching the Big Fat Quiz of the Year, Sebastian, each year? Because those are quite a lot of fun. I do enjoy watching those. The old school ones with Noel Fielding and Richard Ayoade. Yeah, so there was a bit of a push and a shove from the Stormers there. Probably not necessary. And hello, says Ed. Welcome in. And Castrays 21-21. Edinburgh after 54 minutes. Close game between the two sides. Right. Okay, referees just said, calm down, everyone. Yes, we've had two red cards, 2 yellow cards, and 2 penalty tries, but we need to stay calm at this point of the match. I remember him for the fakest laugh I've ever heard, says Connor. That's a real hard laugh to like replicate as well. To be honest, like it's all you gotta suck in, but you also gotta try and make a high pitch. That wasn't close. In fact, that's going to be a weird looking thing. And also, when we have Rennie coach after the World Cup, not too sure where he will end up going, Dave Rennie. Like, it's going to be tough for him to get another big gig. What stadium is your background? I got Cape Town Stadium. Even though it's a home game for the London Irish, I was like, oh, well, South Africa in it. I'll just say I was putting up the team's background that I thought would win, fielding at Ayoade, using Jimmy's mum out of the blue. It's one of my go-to clips when I'm feeling down, says Sebastian. Yeah, there's a lot of good clips in those Big Fat Quiz of the Years. Do enjoy watching them. I even help you, Amish. At least about that attempt, the better, says Connor. It's hard to do. Like, because his voice, don't get me wrong, it's slightly high, Jimmy Carr, but it's not like high enough that it's like, that it's easy to make that noise. In fact, everyone who doesn't have someone in the room with them or in their house, try and attempt Jimmy Carr's laugh. Tell me how it goes. And you won by 317 runs against Sri Lanka. This is the highest margin win by any team in ODI. I thought it looked pretty well split between the two sides. Oh, this looks like we're going to have some subs being made here. And like a goose being mistreated. Probably a decent way of describing it. Did he just call Marnie Libbok Marnie Libbok? I don't think I've ever heard someone say it like that. But now it's going to be Andre Hugo Fenta. Will be getting taken off the field now. And did you see the Sharks beating Bordeaux Beagles or Beagles? I always say that part wrong. 32-3, I did. Very good game from them. I can't sleep, so I'm back, says Zion. Did you even try those, Zion? You were away for 2 minutes. So it's making me think maybe you closed your eyes, you went, this ain't happening. And you came straight back. It's good to see you again. Looks like a couple more changes being made. Alistair Varamak out on the field now. I don't think Brock Harris is out there yet, though. Been watching NFL Wildcard, says Ed. That's still a sport that I haven't watched a lot of, NFL. I want to watch some NHL. When does the NHL start back up, Sebastian? Has it already started? It probably has. But NHL, in fact, we're going to do a Google. NHL, National Hockey League. Wait, was the final one yesterday? The final was yesterday. Oh, so there's still games going on. When does the season end? I feel like the best time to start an NHL watching is at the start of the season, unless like the season has just finished. It's already mid-season, says Ed. And New Zealand won by 290 runs with a record in ODI before that, says Sanatane, and NHL is on at the moment, says Sebastian. I wonder if they show it on TAB. Be able to watch all the games. That's a knock-on from Hazel Collins. Another little mistake. double blow the whistle as well from the referee. And yeah, Bulls beat Exeter Chiefs 39-28 with their best team. So I wonder how far they could have beaten them when they send over their B team, says Jan Renau. And Sebastian, NHL fan. The playoffs happen until the final ends in June, says Connor Cahill. See, I feel like with the new competition, you want to start watching it right at the start, just so that you get the gist of it. My body off, and all but my body wouldn't let me. I'm gonna try again. Bye, says Zion. Good luck. Best thing to do apparently when you're trying to get to sleep is you tense all your muscles in your body for about 4 seconds. I don't know why 4. That's a very specific number, and then you release, and then you go all floppy, and then you're apparently supposed to be relaxed. Normally, what I do is stay up for 48 hours, and then you're too tired, and you just pretty much fall asleep in the shower or on your way to the bed. That's almost a true story. I almost fell asleep in the shower one time. I was that tired from doing like 28 hours of live streaming that my body just wanted to become one of those inflatable men outside of a car dealership. We've had a lot of scrum resets here, which is why we haven't talked about the game in the last little while. Just about 3 or 4 minutes of scrums. And you think Bulls, Sharks, and Stormers, and Stormers will win the Heineken Champions Cup. I know that only one of them can, if one of them does, but I don't know. It's going to be tricky. It depends on where the finals are taking place. If they're in South Africa, definitely a big chance. If they're being played overseas, maybe not as much of a chance because some of the South African sides don't travel that well. We're following the Vancouver Canucks. The past year not been an easy experience, says Connor Cahill. I love ice hockey, played in my teams a lot. It's a religion in my hometown, people learning to skate before walking, says Sebastian. All right, it looks like the Stormers, they're going with a unique lineup here. They've got all 4 men right next to each other. Big run from Dan du Plessis. Now Paul de Vet once again going off the right-hand side. Tried to pass it. Goes straight to Ansel Collins. And now trying to race forward. Unable to get through, though. It was actually the big man and number 4, Evans, who was able to catch him. Vermaak trying to make the tackle there. Thought about going into the breakdown. Now he makes the tackle. He was just sitting waiting for his opportunity. Advantage over for the London Irish. Now the left-hand pass. Jennings knocks it on. It's just not really linking up. NHL refs just let the players go and have a go at each other. They'll be taking off their helmets. At least the fans are enjoying it, I guess, says Ed Vogel. Because like anytime I played NHL on the Xbox, which I know is very different to how it is in real life to an extent, but I always have a lot of fun and I try and learn the rules. I always get confused, and you just look at that La Rochelle and Ulster game. La Rochelle got a try in the 80th minute, won 7 points to 3. Yeah, that was a low-scoring one. We were talking about the odds of that game at one point, and we said that La Rochelle were about $5.70 underdogs. You can let them fight till one of them drops to their knees. They can keep going while they're both still on their feet, says Sebastian there as well. I enjoy how respectful some of the fights are. Like, you see the compilations on YouTube of like 2 guys who are like, hey bud, you wanna oh, they don't even say you want to throw hands. They're just like, hey, you wanna fight? The other guy's like, yeah, yes please. Yes please, we'll have a fight. Okay, cool, thank you. And then they fight and then they go, oh, that was a good shot, bud. Nice one. Yeah, we'll do it again sometime. It's very formal. Hamish, my man, how's it going? Says Carl. Welcome in, Carl. Doing very well. Short side. Yeah, for Diamante, who's been doing pretty decently in this game as well. I hope you are well. Carl, what temperature is it where you are? Because we know that it sounds like it's pretty hot in South Africa at the moment. Now, another advantage. Alistair Vermaak. Nice run forward. Nkura has made his way out onto the field. That is replacing Paul de Vet. Now 22 metres out from the line. Nkura once again goes across to Dan du Plessis, who once again, I've said once again way too many times in that last little while, but he just throws himself at the line. Did you see KSI knocked out Face Temper in the first round? I did. Believe it or not, I actually bought that pay-per-view. I was curious. So I decided I'd give it a look. Plus, I was up like at that time yesterday morning. So I decided I might as well watch it rather than pirating it and whatnot. Anyone else who watched it, I think one of the moments of the night was definitely the return of Luis Pineda with the way that they brought him into the Undertaker music. 26 degrees with light winds. Joburg has a heat wave, says Carl. Going to be kicked into touch by the Stormers, currently with a 28-7 lead And now it's going to be Andre Hugo Finta, who has got himself a throw at Munga, making his way out onto the field for Ratunaya Rawa. It's going to be another replacement of the London Irish. Also, where is Sebastian from? He is from Romania. It. In Transylvania, it. And Queso and Salt both dominated. Salt Puppy's an impressive individual. Because looking at the two of them for their frames, between him and Josh Bruckner, I think is the last name, isn't it? You'd think that Salt Puppy should lose that every day of the week, but he was just too quick for him. Just dodging in and out, keeping the range nice, and then just popped him over the top. Just showing all the Stormers supporters in London charge down. I think that smacked straight into the Stormers player's face, which is why he'll be glad he's got headgear on, although it doesn't protect the nose. Edinburgh just scored. Says Connor only managed to watch the first half. This ref is strict, which I like. Forces players to be disciplined, says Carl in there as well. Now there's going to be a 22 dropout for Jennings, and now 21 to 28 in favour of Edinburgh, which is a nice comeback because they were actually 12 points to 7 down earlier on in the contest. Damien Valimza runs it at the line, going off to the left-hand side here. A little grubber attempt in behind. Once again, cleared downfield by Lucio Cinti, the Argentine international. Now Ngome Zulu looking for the 50-22. It's an attempt, and it's going to be bouncing awkwardly, but Jennings able to clean it up. And also we have got there, did you see Jake Paul's face after KSI knocked Faves out? Says Rekus. I didn't see that, but I did see there's a clip going around of when Logan Paul showed Jake when KSI called him out, and he looked like he was no interest whatsoever. Which I don't know whether or not they planned to film it that way or whether that was just the way that it ended up going. But currently it looks like we got Willie Engelbrecht to make his way out onto the field. Especially Jake Paul, says Connor. And why would anyone watch that garbage? Says Connor. I mean, I ended up buying the pay-per-view. Jake Paul wasn't a part of that one, though. I just thought it looked like it was going to be a good boxing card. So I was like, yeah, might as well. Give it a look. Going to be a release now. London Irish, they've got this one. Good conversation rate for Kinghorn, or conversion rate for Kinghorn. Definitely you go to Scottish fly half when Finn Russell isn't available. Okay, don't want that smoke with KSI. There's Carl. Now, nice step on the outside. The London Irish now. Hazel Collins. Bit of space down the wing. Decides instead to cut up the middle, but Vermaak doesn't manage to get him around the bootlaces. And Brad Weber off to France after the Rugby World Cup. Who else do you reckon going to get the bag overseas after Rugby World Cup? I think we're going to see quite a few players. Anyone who's just out from, just out of All Blacks contention, I wouldn't be surprised if we see, who else have we got at the moment? Peter Gusto-Akul, I think he's already going overseas, isn't he? Which is fair enough, because he's not getting chances for the ABs. Luke Jacobson, we might see go overseas as well. Don't know. And it's actually rather entertaining. Queso and Salt are both actually talented boxers. Says Rekus there. Nice take from Valimza close to the touchline. Puts it high. And 43 likes. It's aimed for 50 likes. And if you're new, subscribe to the channel. Says BTV, you heard the man. If you haven't already, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now going off to the left-hand side. Lucio Cinti. Able to hang on to that one quite nicely. Wide cut out pass. I thought it was going to be intercepted maybe by Diamani, but he's been able to take it nicely. At number 13, Morisi. Hardly seen him throughout this matchup. Asking for the offside penalty. They will not get it. Now Chunyamunga. That's a hard name to say. Big shot on Cunningham himself. Now interception. No, it's going to be the penalty. And also Stormers in Clermont and Cape Town. We're really good. Clermont going to see what it takes to beat a South African team in South Africa, says Yanri now. And the Boxers must feel a tad embarrassed. They've got these celebrities taking the sport they train their whole lives for and make a mockery of it, says Connor. Although a lot of the Boxers who have been asked about it have said that it's actually really good because it gets more people into boxing. So then, in, I guess, the same aspect of the more people watching means the more chance that they'll start watching the actual boxers' fights. So I don't think I've heard too many professional boxers actually say it's a bad thing. In fact, a lot of them have said that they encourage more people to take it up because it gets more eyes on their sport. So it's kind of like marketing in a way. It's like if there was some sort of weird celebrity rugby game. Of course, you'd have the main like rugby viewers or watch for ages be like, "This is silly," like other players playing rugby. But then a lot of people would go, "Well, if it brings an extra million eyes onto the world of rugby, like it would be slightly beneficial, maybe." And also, we have got the I agree, Connor. Pure boxers must be asking themselves how if a couple of YouTubers ended up being the most influential people in their sport doesn't help the quality of the bouts. There's Sebastian, and you think it's good for rugby? Just seeing the Irish and South African teams being dominant in the UFC and Heineken Cup. Wait, the UFC? Is that because you've had the URC? I was going to say, is that just because Dricus du Plessis going all right at the moment? All of a sudden, South Africa are top contenders. But, like, I mean, it's one of those ones that French sides are definitely going to be able to do nicely in this competition as well. We've seen Toulouse sitting at the top of the group for this side of the draw. So, you can't sleep on Toulouse. They're a tough side as well. And also, Luke Jacobson's brother Mitch signed with MLS team, though. Play for Waikato, I think. Yep. Mitch Jacobson, Luke Jacobson, and I think there's a third Jacobson brother. Or I might be thinking of Lachlan and Caleb Boshier. Another group of two brothers. Lachlan, of course, making money overseas every once in a while, which is very good to see. Only 16 minutes left here in this competition between the two sides. Probably to say the Boxers would be unhappy that they get less people interested than the celebrities. Like the celebrities can do this because they get people interested. I don't agree with it, says Connor in there as well. But I mean, I can see why some boxers wouldn't like it, but yeah, a lot of them have said that they are keen, and a lot of them are actually crossing over into the YouTube boxing scene as well. They've already had a few professional boxers make their way over to YouTube boxing. But yeah, it's a weird one. I don't like it, to be honest, Seb, says Connor there. Now going back across to the right-hand side, downfield. And it's going to be very nicely taken by Lucio Cinti, trying to find a gap. Great low tackle. That was just a diving tackle by Willie Engelbrecht, but got him right around the legs. Nice offload to Hazel Collins. Step him back around. And also, I made 10K from that game as well, says Carl. Jeez. So the Jacksonville Jaguars, you made 10K. More than I make in like 4 years. That's another offload. Ben White goes back across. And the London Irish, I feel like they need 2 tries in this last little while. I think it's like T20 in cricket. People get attracted by T20, stick to T20, then don't, or they don't, then go on and watch quality Test cricket. Same with YouTubers boxing, quality boxers. Yeah. It's one of those ones that the conversion rate of the amount of people who watch some boxing and just stick with that celebrity / YouTube side of things, like that number's probably quite high. The ones who only watch that. I think they've had a few that have gone on to watch like the other big boxing events, but it's a very tricky one to try and keep people interested when they don't know anyone. I think, have you been following this SAT20, Amish? I hope that it was on Sky or Spark, but I see you've got to buy it on the ICC website, I believe, is the way that you can watch it. So I've been keeping an eye on some of the highlights and whatnot, but haven't been watching the games in full. Unfortunately, and Stormers not doing well with 13 men. Yeah, they are struggling a little bit against the 13 men. Now, this is good though. Down the wing, jogging forward. Ngume Zulu, short ball, gets the offload back to Dan du Plessis. He might have been tackled a little bit high. And, wait, what's going on now? Are we going back for some sort of, okay, we're going back for a penalty somewhere way down the field. I think that just said. Are we watching the South Africa T20? Much better than the BBL. I quite enjoy it. Says Sebastian there. And apparently Rennie is set to sign with Japan Club after the Rugby World Cup. Says Ed, right, they've marched right back to about 45 metres out. The London Irish get the penalty here. I'm really nothing against French people, but I am getting sick of the referees speaking French and us having no idea what penalties are for. I think the commentators might be feeling that same way because they're getting confused. They're like, what are we going back for? And CT and Paul those teams are stacked. Yeah, you look through their lineups and you're like, what is the salary budget for these sides? Because they are definitely spending a lot of money on contracts. Here's the thing: if the YouTubers want to do the boxing, that's fine, as long as they stay there. If they try to go up against the professionals, forget it. There's Connor, stick their own aspect of boxing rather than branch out into the professional scene. There's Connor Cahill. Hansi van Rensburg going to be going off the field, and that is going to be now Michael Dykes. Khaleesi and Steven Kitsov set to leave South Africa after the World Cup. So yeah, a lot of these older players after 2023's World Cup, I think most of them have 2 or 3 seasons left in them. So they've decided, why not make money in Japan or France or anywhere that will be paying the big bucks for those final few years of your career, because that's not straight from London Irish, unfortunately. 12 minutes left in this game, and that is once again another mistake that they have found themselves making. It's like a little bit of push and shove still going on as well. It's not ideal for London Irish, because not only have they given away disciplinary issues, they also have now been given away little mistakes such as not straight lineouts. Now scrum feed against them. Here's Mumbai Indians Cape Town fast bowling attack. Sam Curran, Jofra Archer, Dwan Janssen, Kagiso Rabada. What the? Yeah. Like, it's quite impressive, because I guess with seeing so many talented South African T20 players, it also helps stack those sides a bit more. And because we're not used to seeing them all play in a competition locally, I guess it also means that it's slightly more special, if that makes sense. Whereas for the BBL, you see those same guys each year, and it's like, yeah, we know them already. But for those guys, we get to see now, I guess, just a competition and a platform for them to be able to go well. Nice big tackle made. Yeah, once again, I believe it was on Monga that time. Still driving forward at Fischietti. Short side. Ben White goes to Jennings. They're so close here for the London Irish to being able to get their second try of the match. It's going to be maybe stripped. Yes, it is. If you could erase one thing from rugby, what would it be? Probably that was a penalty. I thought it was a knock-on. So, if I had to get rid of something, I would say that it's a goal line dropout and instead go back to the 5-metre scrum. Because as an attacking team, when you end up going from being 5 metres out to getting held up, and then now you're 50 metres down the field, it's not great. And I think they're slowly ending their rugby career, but Sharks really made a poor investment, though, says Carl. And I need 50 Rand to get high, says Wade. I mean, if you just bought a jet, though, surely you have got enough for your casual recreational activities, which you should do responsibly, of course. And Albert, bro, I hope you're good, mate. Here's Cal. It's going to be thrown in by Andre Hugo Fenta over the top. Stolen now, and Ruiz trying to go forward. Joe Powell out there on the field. The ex-Melbourne Rebels player. A little knock on again. Come on. They're dropping the ball every contact at the moment, the London Irish. And I think the frustration's coming out now. Their players are just like, well, if we're not going to win the game, we might as well try and box them. Well, Willie Engelbrecht, not too happy. I agree the goal line dropout makes no sense, says Connor, and cheers, Carl. All as well. And also, Racing Page Sharks, 17 million to release Khaleesi early, says Rekas. I'm back, and it looks like I just cannot sleep, says the real one. It's because you know that there's a game of rugby on, I think. So it's one of those ones that once this game's over, I think you're going to be able to sleep a lot easier. When you go in, just put the ball down, says Connor. I mean, so the ones that are actually in the goal line area for a player and they put it down, I can understand why that is a goal line dropout. But if you're in an attacking position and you're held up, I think you should get another 5 metre scrum. Missing Rob Simmons playing for the Australians, Rugby World Cup nostalgic, says Ed. And Owen Rashid Khan for spin bowling. It's just not fair facing a bowling attack like that, says Sebastian. Yeah, it's pretty stacked. Okay, I think You see there, Ben White on the sideline, having a good laugh at the moment, the London Irish. They know that this isn't their game. And at the moment, it's just really, they're going out there hoping that something will get better before it gets much worse. And also we have got there and Quadir as well, like WTF's just color. Yeah, see, like it's just talent upon talent upon talent that they've got. What is the ruling in terms of how many overseas players are allowed to play in one match? Is it 3 or is it more than 3 for that comp? I haven't looked into it just yet. But yeah, is it 3 or 4 that you're allowed on the field at once, or is it just as many as you want? Big scrum, advantage, purely for the Stormers. Like they've said, total control at the moment for them. Junior Pokamela pointing up at the sky. Now, Damien Willemse inside of the 22. This one can find the touchline. And it does, so they will now have themselves another line out. But from start to finish in this game, the Stormers, they just haven't really looked threatened at the moment, right? I believe this is Simon Miller, is it? Yes, it is. Going on the field for Diamani. More than 3, but mostly local players get first preference, says Carl Peterson. And I hope that's the way that it stays, rather than it getting to the stage of just all internationals. I feel like seeing those local guys in the comp is something that's quite cool, and something that the BBL, oh, that wasn't straight as well. But yeah, I think that the BBL, in terms of you get to see those new up-and-coming players, like a Patrick Dooley for the Hobart Hurricanes, Peter Hasgaloo for Perth Scorchers, although he's been around for a little while. But you see some of those newer guys that you're like, oh, okay, they could have a crack in the future. So hopefully South Africa is going to be the breeding ground for a lot of their great players in future years as well. I just wish the games weren't on at like, what time are they? About 2 a.m. New Zealand time and 5:30 a.m. or something like that. Because if they weren't on at that time, I feel like they would be a lot more watchable. For me, anyway. But the highlights are short and they are on YouTube, so that's good news. Joe Powell, line out, hasn't been great for the London Irish. Scrum hasn't been great for them, but they've now got the scrum feed here. Imagine facing Curran, Arch and Rabada in the power play, and then the best leg spinner and Rashid Khan comes in after that. Batsmen must be thinking they don't get paid enough for this, although seems to be some money in the comp, so they might be getting paid a nice amount. But Archer's pace alongside the Rabada unpredictability, and then you've got Curran as well, just Yorker after Yorker. And Rashid, it's just brutal, isn't it? And I'm impressed with the Wall Brevis, sorry. Yeah, some local guys doing well, which is always good to see. Because, like I mentioned, they're your up-and-coming talents. And, brother, have a stunning Monday. Thank you for the stream. I'm off. Take care, says BTV. We will see you later on, mate. It's been good to see you. Big push there from the Stormers, but the London Irish just hanging on to it. Wide cut-out pass. Now to Hazel Collins. Bit of space down the wing. They need 2 quick-fire tries, both converted to get themselves a losing bonus point. And at this stage, it looks like the maximum that they'll be able to get from the match. Now Cunningham South just getting wrestled around. Another big run from Fischietti and Brevis. I will be a big star in white ball cricket, says Sebastian. Now Joe Powell. Back across, another advantage there. Moonga throws himself at the line. If he had an O in that name, it would be Moonga, which would be very similar to our Kiwi, just without the apostrophe. That was some useless information. I apologise for that. Now Joe Powell once again looking to go to the right-hand side. Nice skip pass. Gives it to Cunningham South again now on the outside. It's a good run forward from the big number 3. And these commentators can't stop whining. They can't accept the South Africa team is destroying them on home field, says Janri now. I thought you were talking about me for a second, Janri. And only 19, still got to hit his prime. Future is bright, says Carl. And as long as they don't, like, the last thing they want to do is straight away compare him to an old player, because that has hurt so many youngsters in the past. Like, when you get compared as, like, the next AB de Villiers or anything along those lines, like, that pressure is just too much for a young guy. So hopefully they say he's talented, but he's going to grow up to be his own player. That's the important part, I think. Simmons scored the fastest Rugby World Cup try in 2015 against Argentina in 1 minute and 8 seconds into the game, says Ed Vogel. And UK commentary always moaning and complaining, says Carl. Now it's going to be thrown in. Nicely taken by Simmons. Bit of a set play here for the London Irish. They try and creep towards the line. Stormers doing well, though. I believe there's at least 2 players with their hands on the ball here. And his go-to shot is dropping down to one knee and launching it over mid-on and mid-off when it pitches in the slot, just 6 after 6. Yeah, he got very good. I don't know if it's so much as power or it's just like great timing. I think it's more timing than anything. Just picks the ball early and just middles it. Offside 20, close to the London Irish again. Mo'unga gets close. Joe Powell now offloads up. Josh Basham close. Round the side, they're over. That's going to be the second try of the match for the London Irish. They actually still have time to be able to get themselves the losing bonus point here. And celebrating big time, it is the big man, Fischetti, being able to get it. First European Cup try in just his 2 appearances. And London Irish sitting on 12, mostly timing. He's now that powerful. Well, he's not that powerful, just an utterly clinical batsman, says Sebastian. And yeah, that's the thing. Some people think you've got to have like massive Marcus Stoinis arms to be able to hit sixes. And sometimes it's just about having the right bat and just knowing how to use it. Is it the wrong time to use a reference of it's not the size that matters, it's what you do with it? The muscles, of course, we're talking. The ref wanted to give them that try, says Yanri. Now, probably fair enough, seeing as he had crossed the line and the ball was down over the line, so normally given as a try. So, yeah, London Irish, they make it now 14 points to 28 in this game, and still 2 minutes left to try and find themselves one more try converted to get that losing bonus point. But it is now going to be Damien Valimza who'll be kicking off this one. Like I mentioned, 2 minutes. The difference between 1 point and no points. And I believe that's going to be a knock-on against Simmons. Yes, it is. So the Stormers back in position. Position was the word I was trying to say. That ball's going to keep on rolling. Jennings. Oh, did he take that dead? David Miller, Josh Butler, Owen Morgan. Wow, Royals. Crazy. Says Carl Peterson. There's I like the fact that there's so many English and South African players in there because you know that those guys play off against each other in the near future. So they'll go from teammates to being enemies in a matter of 2 weeks. Also, Dane Vilas, the Lancashire captain, I should say. Sebastian. Currently 1 minute left. The Stormers looking to maybe score themselves one more near the end of this game. Big contact there on Ume Zulu driven back. And 14-28 brings back memories, says the real one. There's the one on there. Okay. The TMO saying something. I didn't really hear what he said. Nice ball on the outside. The Rohan now scorer. Yes, he does. I don't know what word I was going to be saying there for F, but he almost dropped it. Jason Roy, too. It's irritating that the Stormers do not run away with the game against 13, in fact, roll off. They had the 2 red cards. How's it going, Hamish? How did the Stormers manage to do this? Were they extremely lucky or something? I mean, they were playing against 13 for a lot of the match, but they have been the more clinical side out of the 2 teams. They've still given away their fair share of penalties. I don't know if Rohan Nel, he dropped that. It's a knock-on. I didn't think it was a try. Easy peasy, no challenge for the Stormers, says Yanni Nelson. No try for the Stormers there. We do need to clarify. And yeah, Roy as well, says Sebastian. Right, they're going to be going upstairs to check this one. I believe he's lost it, though. For Rohan Nel, there is clear separation there between the hand and the ball. So that is going to be a no try for Rohan Nel. And discipline costing the Irish like always, says Sebastian. Yeah, the most penalised side in the Gallagher Premiership. You can see why. Because they do make a lot of mistakes when it comes to that discipline. Okay. So because of that knock-on, I believe they've said that it is a goal line dropout. Is it? Although I'd like to think that it would be a 5-metre scrum. So why is it a goal line dropout rather than a scrum 5 metres out for the lower London Irish, I wonder. And said it cold in London Amish. Or sent it cold in London. And I was a game over 28-14, says Yandri now. And is Ollie Stone good? Says Carl Peterson. Ollie Stone. Name rings a bell, but I can't think of him. Oh, that was close. So that's going to be the knock on and the end of the game. He's in the England ODI squad, Carl. Oh, I'm going to look him up quickly. As soon as I see his face, I'll be like, oh, yeah, him. Quite a few Ollies around the English. Yeah, I remember him. When was the last time we saw him play? Was it in India? No. When's the last time he played on the international side of things, Sebastian? This fella. Ollie Stone. He looks very familiar. But yeah, they've got Ollie Pope, Ollie Robinson, now Ollie Stone as well. Oh, profiles, stats and whatnot. I'll get to see where it was last time. No, John. Says the Rickers and agree. They loved it when the Boca were playing for Brit teams. But they're of higher than thou attitude shines through. One called a French player Mongrel last night. And also a Yorkshire lad. An ODI series versus Australia. Is that where I saw him last? Stats, matches. There we go. Matches. Debut was in 2019 against Ireland. ODI matches. Yeah, it was in the November series by the looks of it. In 2022. November 22nd. In Melbourne. Who won that one? Australia by 221. And also, okay, he's also in the Mumbai Indians Cape Town, or the MI Cape Town team as well. And he remembers when the Highlanders did a full huck of Aaron Smith just for them to lose to the Hurricanes, says the real one. And does he bowl stones, Hamish? Stones. Balls. It's a stone. I'm trying to remember if that's like a reference to a type of delivery. My brain hurts. It's currently 4 a.m. Been a long week. Yeah, next live stream that we've got, ladies and gentlemen, I believe will either be a BBL during the week, maybe New Zealand, India during the week if we do get away with not getting copyrighted. But then next weekend we have got the Sevens. We have also, alongside that, got a couple more upcoming live streams in the near future of the Champions Cup. Next weekend, Harlequins taking on the Sharks. Probably a little bit of other rugbies. Do you cover NRL? We have done a little bit of it in the past. I think this year we're going to be doing a lot more NRL than we did last year, though, because we did only do maybe about 7 or so matches. We did quite a few of the Rugby League World Cup. And yeah, I am hoping to do some of the NRL this year as well. There is an overlap with some of the Super Rugby games. Hopefully we'll be able to balance it out quite nicely. It was that post T20 World Cup ODI series that no one gave a toss about. Still a decent bowler, says Sebastian. Yeah, it was weird how quickly after a World Cup, not only they played, but New Zealand, they had their games up against India, didn't they, pretty much instantly. Towards the KiwiLad Sports Channel for the NRL, says Sebastian, although there is a chance that we might be doing NRL on the main channel this year, believe it or not. Hopefully we don't get copyrighted. But yeah, that is where you can find some of our past NRL live streams, alongside State of Origin that we did end up doing, me and my dad. We did a couple of those matches, but yeah, we may be doing it on the main channel this year. And then if we get copyright struck, I guess everything goes to the sport. So that is a good channel to be subscribed to, just in case we end up with a copyright strike on the main channel, so that we can continue streaming. But nonetheless, I think that is almost going to be the end of this live stream. 14 points to 28 in the end. Valiant effort from the London Irish, to be honest, because they were playing with 13. Yes, they shot themselves in their own foot by getting those red cards, but to only lose by 14 against the Stormers side, who I thought could have easily scored a few more tries throughout the match, I feel like they won't feel completely terrible about walking away. And Zimbabwe just won today versus proper Ireland, says John there as well. But nonetheless, do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. I believe we've got a video coming out relatively soon of my umpiring for that cricket match. It's finally going to be going up within the next couple of days, so be sure to keep an eye out for that one. And we'll see you all for the next one.